What's up, everyone? My name is Robbie Tillman, and today on The Robbie Tillman Show, we're going to be having a very special episode. As most of you know, I'm a student at UNC Chapel Hill, and one of my favorite classes I took this past semester was Communication 650, The Cultural Politics of Global Media Economies, with Dr. Michael Palm. So for our final project, we were tasked with honing in on one media trend that is impacting the world. And I wanted to focus on, drumroll please, the creator economy. Now, this is something that has emerged in the past few years. Being a creator or an influencer has been birthed by social media and has really accelerated during COVID, while people were sitting around with a lot more free time on their hands. But if you'd have told somebody 2 decades ago that they could make more money than a doctor, a lawyer, or a dentist online by writing blogs, starting a YouTube channel, a podcast, or just by leveraging their social media, you would have been looked at like you were crazy. But man, there are really some dope people out here who are doing it and doing it big. So in the true spirit of the creator economy, we're going to highlight a few case studies on the show today and look at how people have specifically used some of the recently evolved media trends to become influencers and gain economic opportunities. There are several topics I like to explore in my research report. A main theme is the larger, centralized traditional forms of consuming content, such as television, being disrupted by the newer, creator-centric media such as YouTube and TikTok. And while this report will hone in on specific case studies of creators who have leveraged the internet to turn their personal brand into a career, it will evaluate the macro, big picture forces within the new geopolitical economy that allow this dynamic to rise. By evaluating the larger dynamics of the world economy we live in and some of the most prominent creators within it, this report will give insight as to why some creators fail and why other creators succeed. Also, after the case studies, we will be looking at some of those big picture macro factors that allowed the creator economy to flourish and some of the downsides. So in every economy all throughout history, there have been several societal forces that have impacted who rises to the top and who doesn't capture that wealth. So is it naive to think that those same forces don't apply to the creator economy? Because it is an economy after all. Stay tuned, we'll be diving in shortly. But first, let's hear a message from our sponsors. This episode of The Robbie Tillman Show was brought to you by Might As Well Bar and Grill. They are a Chapel Hill staple, y'all, and they're running a discount right now. If you stop by on Tuesdays, you can get 50% off on chicken wings and karaoke if you tell them Robbie Tillman sent you. But you have to have made an A on your COMM 650 presentation. So no A, no wings for you. But anywho, go to the mall and tell them Robbie Tillman sent you if you secured that A. And lastly, we would also like to thank our sponsor, Dr. Michael Palm, for being a generous benefactor of the show and helping us get off the ground, and also for offering critiques of the show and all the lessons he facilitated this past semester in COMM 650. Dr. Palm, if you're hearing this, hope you have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Okay, without further ado, let's get into a quick historical timeline of how media stars were able to capture wealth. With the advent of social media, more chances and opportunities for business transactions and wealth accumulation arise every day. And many of these opportunities for increasing one's wealth and influence have been seized by individuals instead of corporations. Most individuals who have generated social capital and built their personal brands via the internet and social media have done so without the support of a large corporation or established brand directly backing them. The world has been familiar with stars such as Johnny Carson via his Late Night with Johnny Carson show, and Don Cornelius, who took 1970s Black America by storm with his masterful display of hosting Soul Train. While these stars were introduced to America and put in the driver's seat, they were supported by $1 million Hollywood-style production budget, a full-fledged media crew, and an entire television network with an abundance of resources and connections that stretched across the globe. AKA, they had to be accepted by corporate gatekeepers and were chosen to be the on-air poster child of a corporation. Whereas today, notable personas are able to reach the masses, filming in their bedroom or their garage. Nowadays, the likes of some of the internet's most famous stars have risen to fame in a much more organic and scrappy manner than the popular stars of yesterday. Nowadays, the likes of PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, Charlie D'Amelio, Joe Rogan, Brandon Turner, and Cody Sanchez have all gained a large following by releasing authentic content on social media. While they have since risen to fame and have secured several lucrative brand partnerships, made corporate connections, and launched their own ventures via their platform, they started out making content on social media with an initial following that was either non-existent or small enough where their rise to stardom could still earn them the title of self-made. So let's hone in on some of those case studies of a few creators who have been able to turn their following into cold hard cash. So it's no secret. You would have to listen to this show on mute to not know that I love real estate. Most of the show's episodes are either directly about real estate or they somehow weave it in one way or another. So I've got to show my real estate and investing influencers some love. Shout out to Cody Sanchez, Brandon Turner, Ryan Pineda, Grant Cardone. They're dropping content on the daily, man. And I'd be surprised at this point if they're not making more from social media than their properties. And what's cool is they're doing deals, right? And they kind of leverage media in 4 different ways. Of course, they show everyone the informative content, which is the cost breakdowns and the houses they buy. And those get a lot of views and they'll get ad revenue from that. That's a basic way to make money on social media. But these people are investors, right? So they're looking at the investment from different ways. They also use something called funnels. What's a funnel and how does it relate to the creator economy? Well, I'll tell you, loyal listener. Thanks for asking. A funnel is an online sales generation technique that starts with the customer from a large social media platform and takes them to the creator's personal website where they sell their offering to a consumer. So I know a lot of these investing experts will create consistent content for half a year, build up a massive following, then implement a funnel and launch a $500 course or program to teach you how to invest and give you insider secrets. They can also sell hoodies. Whatever they're selling, their product is, you name it, there's a funnel for it. For instance, Brandon Turner runs Blue Door Capital, a mobile park investment corporation. But sometimes he'll post his deals online and say, hey, you know what we're about at Blue Door? Here are the numbers on this deal we're working on. And if this is something you want to invest in, shoot us an email. And boom, within like 2 days, he's able to raise $50 million or something. And Cody Sanchez does the same thing. She has a little real estate, but she's carved out a niche of running small service businesses and showing how profitable they really are. She'll make videos of her laundromats and ice machine empires, and suddenly 50,000 people are Googling how they can buy their first ice machine. Believe me, I've done it myself. She said on numerous occasions that wealthy investors have seen her content and reached out to try to invest in her deals because they see she knows what she's doing. So nowadays, instead of having to fly to New York and go from cocktail mixer to cocktail mixer and rub elbows and kiss up to people to get around rich guys to invest in your deals, the investors of today are able to put the deal on social media and let the people eat. Or you have a guy like Joe Rogan, whose candidness and curiosity and ability to ask the right questions from a wide array of podcast guests has earned him somewhere in the area of $120 million. He hasn't advertised any real estate deals, but he's had premium sponsors and broke the internet for signing an exclusive Spotify deal through 2023 worth $200 million. $200 million for sitting on a podcast doing the same thing I'm doing. I really need to step it up. Mind you, he launched his first episode in 2009, and he had to stay on that grind for over a decade before getting his big payday in 2020 and inking that Spotify deal. But that's impressive nonetheless. While the promise of creating one or several streams of income from a lifestyle of content creation seems appealing to many, things are never that easy in the real world. And there's no such thing as a free lunch, even in the digital economy. While the ethos of the creator economy preaches individuality and not having a dependence on traditional gatekeepers who might hold one back from economic independence, there are still gatekeepers and hurdles one has to go through in order to build wealth in any economy, and the creator economy is no exception. There are several determinants of who rises in the creator economy. While evaluating the inhibitors of creator success, there are many roadblocks that hold creators back that at first glance seem to be a direct contradiction of the ethos of the very economy that they create in, which is based upon individualism and the idea that anyone can make it. But by observing some of the top creators who actually did make it, the truth turns out to be a little more gray than black and white. Content, to many, is leisure. It means the joy of creating whatever you want and not answering to anyone. However, when you choose to generate income from your content and participate in the creator economy, the same economic forces of supply, demand, and competitive advantage still apply. One determinant that tends to predict who rises in the creator economy is who can invest in high quality equipment, which, newsflash, often cost a pretty penny. This can require hundreds to several thousands of dollars from a creator to make a hefty financial investment in equipment to fuel their career, just as someone will make an investment in their college tuition to fuel their professional career. Creators can easily spend north of $10,000 on drones, 4K cameras, expensive microphones, travel expenses, and incur a whole array of expenses related to actually generating the content itself in order to rank favorably amongst viewers. A number of creators have taken out loans and leveraged credit and even taken in outside capital like an investor to fund initial startup costs of their creative toolset. Now, this fact isn't black and white per se, but recording a video on an old hand-me-down phone will likely not be received as well by an audience as the same video recorded on a $2,500 camera. Are there exceptions to this observation? Of course. Steve Lacy won a Grammy after producing Kendrick Lamar's hit song Pride on an iPhone 6. Yeah, an iPhone 6. But Steve Lacy is also a musical genius who succeeded in spite of his tools, not because of them. If we're going to name drop and mention famous creators, we have to mention none other than Mr. Beast himself. Mr. Beast has amassed a whopping 117 million subscribers on YouTube. And while Mr. Beast's channel is the fourth most popular on YouTube, it is the most popular individual creator account on the platform. If his 117 million subscribers were a country, it would be the 12th largest country in the world, right behind Japan. He spends as much as $8 million a month producing videos. And you know, the term videos doesn't really do a Mr. Beast production justice because it's just that, a production. In two of his most popular videos from 2022, in one of them, he hosted a total reenactment of the highest grossing Netflix show of all time, Squid Games. Man, let me tell you, it was hardly watered down from the real thing. He gave away a $500,000 cash prize to the winner, and he built a Hollywood-style replica set of all the games seen on the hit Netflix show. In another video, he asked a random passerby to go to Paris to get him a baguette for a sandwich. And man, I'll be damned if he didn't actually send some random person on a flight to Paris to get him a baguette. This video had him in front of an Eiffel Tower and all. Now, we're going to take Mr. Beast's word at face value that he actually spends $8 million a month, even though it's unclear how much of that is coming from his pockets and how much comes from a long list of his corporate sponsors. Needless to say, though, it's a machine that brings in a ton of money, but it also invests a lot of money. While I don't recommend anyone directly copy Mr. Beast's strategy with zero modification, this does highlight a macro hurdle that allows some content to rise and some to fall flat. Mr. Beast didn't make his first few videos putting strangers on planes to Paris or handing out $1 million cash prizes in exchange for the promise of even more YouTube ad revenue, but he is now, and the people are eating it up. A user can only consume so much content at once, and it's hard to compete with those who have a capital investment advantage and vie for attention, which is a limited and coveted resource on any platform, and the creator economy is no exception. Out of all the factors that are preached as important traits for success in the creator economy, one has been mentioned more than any other: consistency. Sure, finances, a crafty content strategy, and supreme editing skills could be the icing on the cake, but a creator who stays consistent and builds a track record will trump the creator who releases content every blue moon. But it is a competitive advantage in itself to possess the ability to devote more than a few minutes of your day to creating content. Many successful creators of today have access to someone else's income and don't have a strenuous 9-to-5 work schedule to adhere to, which are both factors that can inhibit one's ability to create consistent content. This isn't to value the entire scope of one's life based upon what they choose to present on social media, but I've seen a niche of stay-at-home wives rise to stardom with cooking, lifestyle, and domestic work videos. What I don't see often is content made by single mothers from low-income neighborhoods who have to take care of 3 to 5 kids and work 2 jobs. They're out there in the world, but they're not pulling in brand deals on TikTok. I do believe we have 24 hours a day, and anyone can choose to be consistent to a task if they put their mind to it. But that consistency will often come with a trade-off of forgoing other responsibilities or opportunities. Does investing a year of my life to create consistent content around a passion of mine in hopes of one day building a loyal following I can add value to and monetize sound cool? Of course. Would it even remotely be on my mind if my family were living paycheck to paycheck and I had no financial safety net in case things went left? Absolutely not. I hope you can see where the competitive advantage lies in the content game. And even my beloved investing influencers and Joe Rogan are not immune to this factor. While social media was a huge lever to the careers of Joe Rogan, Ryan Pineda, and Brandon Turner, they still had to have something to leverage. Joe Rogan already was a host of Fear Factor, a martial artist, a stand-up comedian, and was popping on the UFC scene before he released his first episode. Who wouldn't want to listen to that guy? And also, he was able to have a podcast host who is also a full-time content guy, Jamie. If you watch the Joe Rogan show, everyone knows about Jamie. Brandon Turner, Ryan Pineda, and Cody Sanchez all had multiple thriving businesses and were millionaires before they started to create content. Ryan Pineda also has a content guy, and they sit down for a few days every month and only focus on content. If you're going to create investing content, well, you need to have a portfolio of investments. You can't put the cart before the horse. So as you can see, the ability to invest in time and resources is a gray area in the creator economy. Another important advantage that will put some ahead and keep some behind in this new economy is, drumroll please, the ability to connect with and build the right audience. Brands typically view creators as trusted vessels of social proof that can be partnered with to reach the creator's following, which is comprised of an even greater amount of individuals. It's smart marketing for the corporation because while the end user, which is the creator's following, might not trust the brand, they trust the creator. So the brand doesn't have to spend a ton of money gaining trust from individuals. They can do a deal with the creator and leverage their reputation. However, it's no secret that diversity in the C-suite does not reflect diversity of the United States as a whole. According to Visual Capitalist, an American data visualization company, the United States of America is 61% white and 39% black, indigenous, and other persons of color. We'll call it BIPOC for short. And the American C-suite is 83% white and 17% BIPOC. Minority groups do not have proportional representation at the highest levels of these corporations who have the excess capital to strike brand deals with creators. Therefore, oftentimes creators from underrepresented backgrounds are overlooked when it's time for a corporation to invest in a new batch of target influencers. I hope everyone is inspired by the possibilities of this newfound ecosystem. And I also hope you're able to take the leap if you want to turn content from a hobby into a career, or at least an additional stream of income. But while it looks like the influencers of today are living life on easy street, rest assured they still have to work. But as the great Mark Twain once said, find a job you enjoy doing, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Thank you. And as always, take care of yourselves.